Welcome to the Body Science Podcast. As always, the information contained in this podcast is for the information purposes only and is not designed to diagnose or be prescriptive to treat, prevent, or manage any injury, disease, or other health-related condition.
Welcome to Body Science HQ, the world of fit, happy, and healthy. I'm with the guy that fucked up on the 500k ultra trail. For some reason, ran backwards on a fucking marathon when everyone else was running forwards. Like Kieron Douglass is one of the craziest men I know. How are you, mate?
Mate, I'm bloody great.
Sorry about laughing there, but I'm just like, I'm reading this bio of yours and I'm going, and I've known you a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading this going, you really are fucked up. Like, you've done some seriously cool shit.
Yeah.
I have.
I wonder about myself sometimes.
Yeah. I'm only go back to the big one that sticks out for me, running a marathon backwards, like the Gold Coast Marathon. Are you obviously training for this year's Gold Coast Marathon?
No, so I'm not doing this year's Gold Coast Marathon. That was a bit of a one-off on the road last year.
Was it okay? You don't like the road, do you? You're all about getting out on that bush?
Look, road running's great.
Yeah.
I said, but I'd prefer to be in the trails.
How did you train for running backwards for a marathon?
Yeah, I was just chatting with Mark downstairs and I didn't really train. I attempted to train, but
it hurt too much, so you thought I'll just do it on the day?
No, there's only so many flat, straight roads in the Redlands, so you could only get a good couple of Ks out. So
you'd need someone running with you for that too. It'd be quite dangerous.
Yeah, so I had two support runners for the Gold Coast Marathon, which was fantastic. Max Shearer, who had a incurable brain tumour. He actually come out and run with me.
Wow.
And it was great. It was a good good experience. I'll never do it on road again.
Yeah. Marathon or backwards?
Just the road marathon backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forwards is fine. But yeah, as you said, we have known each other a long time. You've actually been a massive part of my story, I reckon. I was just saying to Mark, I think we were chatting for a long time in 2014.
Yep.
And then we finally met in 2015 when Macca, Richie and Mark come here for the crew series.
Yeah, that's right. It was too.
Yeah, that was the first time we actually
boxer
met.
in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's been 5 years since we did our last podcast, which is crazy. So much has happened in that time.
It has. That's the one where I realised that I was really not qualified to be doing this role.
Yeah, it was a deep chat, but it was the start of many things for me, especially opening up about my story. I hadn't shared a lot until that day. And from that moment, it sort of, it opened a lot of doors.
Do you still talk about the topic?
Yeah. I love talking about it. It's hard to talk about. I love talking about my story, especially if it's going to help teenagers.
Yep.
That's the main goal. We live in a society now where mental health is at an all-time high. So it's more important now than ever.
Was it 6 young men a day and 2 females?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Like, that's 8 kids that aren't waking up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fuck me dead.
But after our chat, I was training for Ultra Trail Gold Coast 500 kilometre. That was my goal. I think we spoke about it in the podcast. Can't remember, but I really had no right being in that race. I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I wasn't doing it for the love of the sport or the love of running, I wasn't doing it for the main reasons I would usually run an ultra marathon. I was almost using it trying to fix myself, I guess. I obviously suffered a lot of trauma growing up, and out of that, severe anxiety and depression, and I was trying to use that race, as something to help me sort out my life.
Yep.
And that's the wrong reason. That was the wrong reason. And it showed in that race. I'll get to the start of that race. So 50K into that race, one of my best mates, Sam, he was tripping over left, right, centre over these rocks, and I remember laughing at him because he was falling over, and all of a sudden I tripped over this rock, and you know what Nerang Trail's like. It's pretty rocky and
Very rocky.
And I smashed my knee, and I was in so much agony, and but just general soreness. You just sort of look past it and just keep pushing on.
When you say you hurt your knee, it says here you dislocated it, the kneecap.
Yeah, well,
is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't find that out until about 175 k's into the race.
You must have been so fucking angry at yourself. Like, seriously, I stand up and go, that hurts, slow down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
it definitely.
You ran another, what you said, 175 k's?
Yeah, I got to 175 k mark.
And, the dislocated kneecap.
Yeah, it was sore. It was very sore.
Wow. I wonder why. Can't really.
Well, I came in from the checkpoint and this lady put me on the table and she's wobbled my knee and my knee popped.
Both parts of it?
My knee popped back in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just like this little pop. And she's like, you put your knee out. Your knee's out. She goes, you won't be able to finish the race. That's detrimental to you.
You're a good listener too, aren't you?
Yeah, great listener.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's back in now.
Yeah.
Let's see let's see what I can do.
Is this why they say that runners are different people?
Yeah, look, I still can't explain. I've been doing this since 2015. I still don't know what I think half the time.
And you've had no long-term effects from that? Not from the actual knee, but from the continuing to add 6 times your body weight on it every time you struck your foot down for
if you look,
kilometres.
If you look after yourself, obviously, you do a lot of strength training and obviously there's a lot of benefits in strength training, gym and eating right and looking after yourself. So if you do look after your body, it will look after you eventually. But yeah, I went back out and I tried to finish the next loop. I just wanted to do the next loop. And I remember you actually, I think either my wife put up a post saying Kieron's popped his knee out, but he's gone back out. I can't remember what it was, but you actually sent me a message and I got it on continuing on that next loop. And you said, you're an idiot. Look after yourself. Yeah. You got a family and whatnot. And I think I just laughed it off and fobbed it off. But deep down, I was
I'm
like,
not the idiot, he is. Keep running.
Deep down, I had been through so much in my life growing up. I knew that I could get through anything. I'd been at the bottom.
Yeah,
there's nothing. This race wasn't going to stop me, whether I'd pop my knee out or whatever it was. I was like, no, I need to find what I'm looking for in this race. Again, I was after the fix me. Yeah, and I got out. I think I did another 10K and my knee went back out. And I remember sitting on the side, lovely ultra runner, and she come running past us and if I was right, she actually called for a car to come and get me. You know what Nerang's like when you go deep in, it's like got to come up the hills again. And sure enough, Ford Drive came in and picked me up and I was like, I'm done, obviously. And I was devastated. And I had a shower, laid down, and someone offered me a knee brace and put it on. And I was like, this feels all right. This feels pretty good. I'll give it a bit, eat something, have a little sleep. Yeah, I went back out with this knee brace. I got a photo, actually. I got a photo on my phone of me in the knee brace. And
wow.
So I went back out. Yeah, my knee was swollen. My feet were swollen. Like I was in complete agony, but I had tunnel vision. I just felt that if I had finished this race, broken or whatever, I would, I'd be able to find myself. And
can I jump in there?
Yeah.
Do you think you've learnt that it's not one single thing that dictates who you are now? Like, is that a big thing that you've learnt from that?
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't think this race was going to teach me that, but it was a little bit of time afterwards when I was able to reflect on that race, where my mindset just changed. I got to 350 Ks. That was me. I was done. I couldn't complete the 500. Gave everything I had. I thought 350 was. I was disappointed. I was just devastated. I was like, I thought within myself I had the strength to finish this race, and I didn't. And
can I ask you a stat here? I hope you know the answer. What percentage of the world population have run 350 Ks?
I couldn't tell you.
Like 6% of the population run 5Ks 3 times a week or 4 times a week or something? The stat's something like that. Like, you must be a 1%er. And here you are. I'm looking at your face. It's like, I didn't make 500. I didn't this. And you're fucking so inspirational. You're crazy stupid. Like, I'll add that as well. I just know you as that in what you do in community and what you do all around the place. And I'm probably off track a bit here where I'm going. But, mate, just looking at your face as you tell me, and I can see the disappointment in you still around that.
Yeah, it still does hurt me, but on a different level.
350 Ks with a dislocated knee. You would have crushed 500 Ks without a dislocated knee.
I'd like to think so.
I think the big thing here is karma will slap you when you're being a smart ass to your mates at some time.
Yeah.
And you laughing about your mate tripping over.
Yeah, I know.
Karma slap.
Well, see, I even if had I finished that race, I still wouldn't have got what I was chasing.
No, nowhere near it. No.
You know, and you know, I finished that race and I hated running.
Did you really?
Yeah, I just I was so hard on it. Yeah, in that moment, I reckon, like last time we were here, we spoke about when I ran the cross country as a 13-year-old. Yep. Weeks before that, I tried to take my life when I was 13 and ran the cross country, and I found my life. I found my life again in that moment. I was still young, obviously. I was still growing. You don't obviously find your life in that moment, but you find something. You find a strength. After I finished, I did the 350. I felt like I was a victim again, and I don't like the victim mentality.
Mm. And is that why you hated running? Because you felt like a victim, so you dropped the thing you loved most?
No, I think I was blaming running. Okay. Like, I'd used running as a kid to escape what I was going through, to push myself through all the trauma that I'd been through. So I thought I would use running again to, give me strength to, deal with my problems. And I think in that moment, I became a victim again. And, being a victim means that you're trapped. You're trapped by what you've gone through. You're being defined in that moment, pretty much. Yeah, and it took me some time after that race. I think COVID hit. There was a lockdown. We had a massive lockdown, and I had quite a few months off work, which was great. I thought the lockdown was probably one of the best things that could have happened to me personally. I got to spend time with my family. My kids were still little, so it was a good time to really bond as a family. And Mel was pregnant, and it was a really good time. But months after, and I spent a lot of time in the trails. I spent a lot of time in the bush. Conservation was a big passion of mine, so I was able to study that.
So you studied it?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you'd actually study conservation. I just knew you were doing a lot of it.
Yeah. So that was a big part of my healing, I guess I'd call it. But I was spending a lot of time in the bush, and there's a lot in ultra running that you can't control. There's a lot in running that you can't control. If you think you can control how your race is going to pan out, then you're stupid.
Yeah.
And you can only control what you can control, right? And that reflects on your life as well. And that's what I figured out in those downtime moments. I realized that with all the adversity, you can't control a lot of it. It's just going to happen. But what I could control was, my attitude, how I was going to react, how I adapt. I figured that out, and when I figured that out, I was able to dig in more into my trauma and face it head on. And the only way I was able to do that was if I was able to forgive myself as a person. I was so hard on myself growing up. It's not my fault what I went through.
No.
And I had to realize that. So, I had to forgive myself.
Can I ask you how you went through that process? How did you forgive yourself? Yeah.
It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Did someone start that journey with you or for you, or did you just sit down and go,
no,
this, I need to forgive myself?
Yeah, no one can say, hey, you need to forgive yourself. Yeah. You need to be in that moment. You need to find that moment yourself. I have a young family. The last thing I want is to go through life with them seeing their, father struggling to, move through life. So it was important for me to find within myself to say, hey, you were a kid, whatever happened to you wasn't because of you.
Yep.
Did
you journal this, or did you storyboard it anywhere? Did you just sit down in your head and every day and give yourself time to think?
Oh yeah, I'm forever, writing things in my phone, and I love poetry as well, and so writing poetry I love writing.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot scattered around in my phone and jotted down, but I thought, yeah, for me personally, and for my family, I needed to find myself, and that was the only way of doing it, was just by forgiveness and loving myself as a person.
Yeah, that's great. That's really powerful, strong truths there, mate. That's a big step to take too, especially for a male. Like, we just don't identify like that anymore. Sorry, we never used to identify like that. Our fathers definitely didn't. We're a lot more empathetic in that space as to what life's about, but it's the stats 6-2. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, it still says that there's a lot more males out there that aren't doing that.
Yeah,
and for you to do that,
and that's what, I look at my son. He's 12. And I see a lot of myself in him, and it's bloody scary. I tell you, it's just it's nuts. So I'm glad I was able to get through that part of my life before he reached this age.
Yeah.
He's a mini me, and I'm a better person for going through those challenges. But I was able to open up a lot of doors and face a lot of things that we didn't even speak about.
We're the tip of the iceberg. You would have had a lot of shit go down after you left that day.
Oh, yeah.
I remember you leaving, crying, hugging me and leaving.
Yeah.
You talked about something really big.
Well, even before that day, I think before the podcast, I think I came here and sat. I am a hugger. I love a good hug. I think I sat on the couch out near the office there. Yeah, and you're like, are you all right?
Just reflecting.
And I think I just teared up because, I was really struggling to find who I was as a person. I'd built this massive persona, growing up as a teenager, and it was like, I'm strong, but you broke down that wall, and you saw right through my bullshit. And I think that's why we have such a great connection.
I just know we're never going to conflict. I'm never going to get in your way in a 500k trail run, maybe at the finish, but not definitely during the run.
Well, a part of your message saying you're an idiot, what are you doing? I was like, I'll show you. But
I just know your personality type, mate, and you needed someone to go stop.
Well, I'm glad I had to go through that process.
Yes, you definitely had to clean that up that day.
Yeah, you only learn. It's important to learn and grow and move forward. But what followed, taking that time out and reconnecting and all that sort of stuff. I had, as I said, I mentioned I jumped into conservation.
Tell me about that. Can we go through that? Because I don't actually know that story. Where'd you start?
Oh, look, let's go way back to the 90s. Steve Irwin.
Yep.
Mate, everyone's hero. So.
Is that I often see pictures of you in the hat and stuff. I go, where the fuck is that coming? Steve Irwin.
Oh, mate.
You like the look, how you do.
I loved Steve Irwin growing up. Yeah. I remember watching even his corny episodes where he's just such a bogan. But
you want to say a line right now? Go on.
No.
You nearly did it. I saw it.
G'day, I'm Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. He was a massive inspiration, and I just remember hearing his voice and just being like,
it's
wow.
one of those voices, isn't it?
Yeah,
I can still hear it today in my head.
It's crazy, right? And I always wanted to do something. I actually met Steve Irwin. He was filming The Crocodile Hunter, we'd gone to Australia Zoo, and the lady at the counter, she's like, "You're in for a treat today. Steve's here today doing a show." And I'm just like, what? And so I went and brought a $70 Steve Irwin doll, a plush doll. I was like, I'm going to get him to sign it. And I had this crappy little biro. Anyway, we're lining up a show, and the crowd's just huge. Tourists left, right and centre. And I can just see Steve walking down with his entourage, and I walked down. I ran up to him and I was like, "Mate, can you sign my doll?" I think I was like 17. And he's like, "Yeah, sure, mate, no worries." And I'm like, wow. And he's tried to sign my doll, and he's like, "Mate, your pen doesn't work, but no worries, if you can come see me afterwards and get another pen and I'll sign it."
Oh, awesome.
And I was just devastated because I was like, I'm not getting near him at all. Anyway, he does a show. I borrow a Nico from someone, and he jumps the fence and he just gets swarmed. And, oh, mate, I was just gutted. I was like, oh, well, at least I got to shake his hand, and, at least he drew a line on my doll. And And he, out of nowhere, he goes, "Hey, mate, keep up." And Mel's like, "Off you go." My wife now, she's like, "Off you go." I'm like, "What?" And so I started running. And Steve says to one of his guys, he's like, let him in. So I went behind a gate, and I fangirled hard. I just told him what an inspiration he was, how much I loved him, how much I wanted to, help his cause or whatever. And he's like, "That's great, mate. Thanks for all your, help. And, we just got to keep doing what we're doing." He goes, "Mate, got to go. Filming Crocodile Hunter at the moment. Got to go." And off he went. And and then the day he passed away, oh mate, I cried hard. Like I came home.
A lot of Aussies did.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh mate, the world, the world, and I was like, well, I want to do something to help his cause, and with work and kids and family, years had passed before I even reached that. And it was in that moment of the lockdown of COVID where I was like, I can do this now. And I ended up planning to run 100K around my local trails.
Yep.
And every 10-kilometre loop, I would plant 10 trees.
Yep. And
there was this area when I was growing up that we'd go throw rocks at guys on motorbikes that were destroying the conservation area. And it was called the Figure Eight. And I thought that would be the perfect spot to plant all these trees and just, erase the destruction and chaos that had happened there previously. And before I did this run, I did the Glasshouse 100K. I had a really good run. And then the week after was when I planned to do this 100K on my local trails, and I was in no shape to do it. I was still sore from the race the week before, and I did the race. I do it in my own time. It was great. I started at 6 and finished about 9:30 at night. But I had some bad niggles, and it was 2 weeks after that when I got invited to play in the local Legends rugby league competition at my old home ground in Redlands there, and we're going to be playing the guys of like Scotty Prince and Benny Hannett and Justin Hodges, and
they all still have a crack, those guys too.
Oh, it's ridiculous! I don't know how they do it. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I think
Princey's fitter than he was when he played football.
Mate, he ran circles around us. He could not catch that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I lined up stupidly, and I was already somewhat sore. My legs were fragile as anything, and fatigue, and played the first half. Second half came. I was running down the sideline. I was playing wing and centres.
Yep.
And Justin Hodges tried to line me up, and I just remember stepping him. He's a big unit, mate.
You stepped him, did you?
I tried to step him.
You run straight.
I think I said in the notes I tried to step him. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I stepped off my right, and I felt my abductor just go boom.
Oh, no.
And I felt like it was bleeding. Like I felt like the inside of my leg was just on fire. And I continued to play in such agony.
You continued to play?
Oh, mate, when I say play, I mean like walking sidelines.
Oh, stop it. You're killing me.
My family was there, had a whole hometown just like cheering. I wasn't going to sit on the bench for that. No way. And I got past the ball again, and I felt my left adductor go. And I was like,
the other side?
My other side went, yeah.
That's not funny because I've done my dad. That's the most painful injury in the world.
It's horrible. And I ended up sitting on the sideline.
I'm amazed you actually made it to the sideline.
Hobbled. It was a horrible injury, and like yours, it prolonged for a long time. I think it was
like don't heal, hey.
Oh mate,
especially at my age.
9 months. 9 months.
Was 8, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And you had whinging to mine. It was like 4 years.
Oh yeah, bloody males, I tell you, just shocking. But yeah, getting back to when I was trying to find myself and dug deep and all that, that was so important for me to do, because having a 9-month injury after that, it helped me. I was mentally stronger, and I was prepared to, as hard as it was not running for 9 months, I was prepared
because you can't feel that injury.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I know that.
It's just horrible. And so I got to the 9 months, felt bloody great. It felt so good to run. God, I was unfit. Jesus Christ. I think I was walking on 5K runs. And
nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But it just felt good to be moving again. I was so happy. And I was so paranoid I was going to do it again. But, the body's pretty resilient sometimes. And so 4 weeks, so we just planned to shoot this documentary, Finding Salvation. We started filming that. And I was just coming good. Within 4 weeks, I was running in my local trails and I just come sprinting down a hill thinking I was a bloody 12-year-old kid and just excited to be out. And my ankle went full 90 degrees.
Oh.
And I severed my talofibular, I think it is, the main ligament of the ankle. And
I think I just vomited in my mouth.
Oh, it was horrible.
At full speed too. So
full speed.
Yeah, down a hill.
And it was a stick that was on the ground.
Oh.
And
she's running the podcast is a trail runner as well. And she's
I know, that's why I looked at her. I was like,
no, please not me.
Yeah, it was horrible. Like I've rolled my ankles plenty of times before playing footy growing up. And this was it was on fire and it swelled up like a balloon. And we were only, we're a few K in the trail. So to get back, still had to walk on it to get back.
Stop it.
Yeah, so it was just.
Who were you running with?
So Louis we were filming the doco.
Oh, you filmed the doco, okay.
Yeah, so he actually filmed.
You got all that on film?
Yeah, he filmed my ankle just going. Yeah, I was gutted. Absolutely gutted. And I eventually, with combined injuries, the adductors and my ankle, I didn't run for 2 years. Didn't run for 2 years, and it was probably it was really tough because running's like outlet. That's my number one outlet for mental health. Running. Yeah. So it was a long process. I'd seen specialists and physios, and they all told me the same thing. Oh, you need surgery. I was like, surgery? No way. And I read so many things that, you get surgery, it'll never be the same again. It'll always be stiff. And
quietly, when it goes 90 degrees, it'll never be the same again.
Yeah, well, that's what I sort of learned. So I didn't have a lot of ligaments even before that. So, but I got chatting to, Brad Beer.
Yep.
Yeah, so I got...
He's very clever in this space.
Oh, so clever. And he has helped me over the last few years, with advice and stuff. But I was like, if there's one...
Pogo physio, anyone who wants to know.
Yeah, fantastic human. I thought if there's one guy that's going to know this injury, it's going to be Brad. And I reached out to Brad and I was like, mate, all these guys are telling me I need surgery. And he's like, don't listen to them. Do your strength work, strengthen your ankle up.
Did he tell you to strengthen your calf?
My calf?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, calves are,
he loves a good
number one. Oh, he loves
strong calf.
Yeah. They connect your whole body apparently. So
it's a hardy legs.
And I'm glad, I'm glad he gave me that advice. It really made me positive and put me in a positive headspace. And sure enough, I did all strength training, listened to it, he gave me a little program, strength exercises. And then, first race back, I was like 100 miler. Boom, let's go. And it was the best race I've ever run. It wasn't fast, but it was the best race I've ever run. I thought I was going to... Oh, yeah, I was back. Yeah. I thought I was going to start that run and I was going to have so many issues. And it was such a good run. I was like, I was keeping a good pace till the back end of that race. But...
where's the back end of a 100K start?
Well, it depends what course you're running on. So Brisbane Valley Rail Trail, so you're running through country towns and you're following the old railway station there, but it gets so cold. So I did feel it in the back end of the race when I was running. It was
in the last 25 Ks here, where's the back end?
20 odd Ks.
Yeah, I'm just trying to let the real people understand how far out we are when we're still in the back end.
So you're looking at 2:00 in the morning, it's freezing cold, all you see is fog. And the first thing to seize up is obviously my ankle. But so you walk for a bit. But that was it was good to be back. That was that was a comeback.
Perhaps you can try and make it like a little bit more realistic for our listeners and viewers. Like we're talking such massive kilometers and things. So say like a 50 kilometer, it's still not realistic, but let's talk like 50 kilometer. What muscles are being used mostly throughout this race? Different periods of it. How long would that typically take? Talk about like the physical side of it first, and then we can go into like the nutrition preparation.
Yeah. So at the start of a race, you're obviously feeling really fresh, and all that you're feeling in that point is, you're running up hills and stuff, so you're going to feel your quads and hammies and, your calf muscles a little bit running uphill. But, you feel it in the legs, especially in the first 30. And as you head into like the 50K mark, you're starting to feel your hips, like your hip flexors. And
is that where it moves a little bit away from typical muscles? But more into like joints and connections and blistering and aches and more of that?
Yeah. Like, it depends how you look after your feet. I haven't had a good blister in a long time, but because on trails as well, it's so uneven. And that's what I love about it. I love the mechanics of trails because not one step's the same. Every step's different, and you're shifting your body, and so you do start. It just creeps up and up, and then you're heading into your 60 and 70 kilometer mark, and then you start slouching over.
Okay,
your posture, your posture goes. And it's probably the worst thing you can do because you're limiting your breathing space then too.
Okay. And a lot more on your knees then too when you're crouching forward.
Back's hard. Yep. Yeah. And that's why I like strength training so, paramount. And you'll notice too when you're at UTA this year, you'll notice because the pack's so heavy. You'll notice. And it's probably another good advice, train with a pack.
Kieron's talking to Ash at the moment, the person who coordinates that podcast for everyone who wants to know. He's like...
So Ash is just about to run UTA in May and UTA 50. And I ran UTA last year, and I never trained with a pack. I never trained with the weight of the pack.
No, definitely.
And I started the race, and we were flying at the start, and I was like, wow, what have I done? I've missed one of the biggest lessons is to train with your kit.
Yes.
Yeah, so I found that a struggle, but you adapt. Your back does feel your core.
And then depending on heat, there's dehydration and how you're fueling yourself correctly.
So I've even previously last September, I ran the Glasshouse 100K. So the year before that, I came third. I was aiming for first last September. I really wanted that podium, and I'd gone out all guns blazing. Felt good. Decided to miss a few key checkpoints.
Okay.
Became severely dehydrated. Didn't allow myself the time to take in hydration. I was just giving myself little sips, and it wasn't ideal. You need to take that time for hydration. It's crucial.
That's where you can't treat it like a road race. It's different. You need to. Even if you feel ahead of the game, you should still be. Supporting that hydration on the way.
100%. So the two guys I was running with, they were taking their time and getting it, and I was like, I'm just going to go, keep going. It was so silly, but
it catches up with you a little.
Yeah, look, I got to just over the 50 kilometer mark, and I was severely dehydrated, and unfortunately I was urinating blood.
You're dehydrated.
Proper.
Yeah.
And so I had to allow myself to just stop for a half hour, take in the hydration, and it's no longer about jumping on the podium. It's about looking after yourself and making sure.
If you ask me.
So look, there's many factors that play into how your body.
Did you go back and finish that race after that?
Oh, I finished.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, you can't.
No, you can't. I get it.
You can't start a race and not finish it.
I get it.
I've had a few.
I don't know. If I'm pissing blood, I'm stopping. Yeah.
I've had I've had one or two DNFs.
This podcast is brought to you by the new BSc Energy. Need a boost? You want that 160 megs of caffeine, 100% sugar-free, 3 flavours, Ice Blast, Berry Burst, Lime Crush. BSc Energy is your answer. Whether you're looking to crush a can or crush a workout, Mark.
Raise the bar, raise the can.
Boom. No long term from any of this type of stuff you're doing? Like you get lots of blood?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mark you'd probably know more about that than me, but...
what did you learn about pissing blood when you did dietetics?
Are you doing regular blood tests?
So I'm not completely reckless.
Depletions.
And you definitely, you're flushing out your systems. And
how'd your bloods look after that race? Because obviously you went and got some done after that race.
I didn't.
Okay, cool.
I didn't.
Well, if you don't know, you can't get in trouble
previously,
for it,
but from previous experiences and seeing doctors
how many times you pissed blood?
Oh, look, in an ultra marathon, and when you're pushing your body to crazy limits, and especially in bigger races, you're going to get some stage of, whether you have brown urine or
brown's different to blood.
Yeah. So what I believe, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but I have had rhabdomyolysis before, which is your liver and kidney start shutting down. That's what I thought would be happening when you're pissing blood.
So
I had that about 2014.
And you went around another 50 Ks after just having a little drink.
Well, when I got rhabdomyolysis, I didn't run anywhere. I don't even remember waking up in the hospital. But your liver and kidney start shutting down, and when you're severely dehydrated, and your CK levels go through the roof.
Cricket score.
Oh, more. Like I'm talking like ridiculous. I think mine were in the thousands. Like they're meant to be minimal. So your body starts taking moisture from other places because you're severely dehydrated. So it's taking it out of your muscles. It's taking it out of your organs. What's that, sorry?
Did you look good though?
Oh,
looked awesome.
So
couldn't get off the ground, but
my legs were swollen.
Yeah,
but I lost a lot. Yeah, I lost a lot of weight. But
wow, that's
but
crazy.
So anyone who is attempting to run ultra marathon or marathon, even standard marathon,
set a plan, stick to the plan.
Set a plan, stick to the plan. Don't go out thinking you're invincible. You're not. A run like that will sort you out pretty quick.
What is on a 50K run, what is your feed hydration strategy? Like, how often are we doing that? Mark's asked that night.
What's your preparation look like? Like, say, a few days out, then day before does it change, and then day off, and then leading right through the race? Like, I would think that if it was me, I'd be putting like so much planning into that and making sure, or do you just, is it something that's not as important to you?
No, it never used to be. I used to have this silly attitude where I was like, I won't overly train or whatever it is. And, I was doing things, the minimal. After, a few races and a few experiences, you start treating it serious. So, have a leading up to say 100K race, which I'm doing up for Noosa, you allow yourself, maybe it's like a 7-week block.
Okay.
You want to get your food sorted. You want to trial your food.
Yeah.
I like to eat just whole foods, just real food on a run. I used to think it used to be lollies and donuts and all that sort of stuff. Donuts are still great on a race. Don't
get bagging out my donuts.
No, I love donuts, but yeah, it's good to have real food. And
what type of food are you eating? Are we talking sandwiches?
Yeah, sandwiches. Avocado and whether it be muesli bars, or you're staying away from the processed stuff. So you're staying away from the lollies so much. You don't want to train your body to just rely on sugar.
Yep.
You want to rely it to burn fat. You want to burn fat, and to do that, you run a little bit slower in your training. You teach your body how to burn fat, because when you burn fat in a long run, it will sustain you longer. Whereas if you're just relying on gels or whatever it is, you're having those really quick highs, and your body will just eat through it really quick, and then you'll have a real bad low. But if you train your body to to eat real food whilst you're training or on a long run, you'll be able to sustain longer in a run, and that's what I've
practiced with it first. So when it comes to the actual day, you know what you're doing.
Mate, how are you hydrating on those runs? Is it purely stations, or can you get access to water more often, or whatever you're drinking on the run?
Yeah, like a lot of the runs, and you'll find with UTA, Ash, that the stations are pretty spread out, and so you have to be self-efficient as well. A lot of the time, you must carry a certain amount of water, but it just depends on weather as well. Like sometimes on a real cool day, you probably won't drink as much as you would on a hot day. But yeah, I mean, there's always water at the stations. For the Noosa Ultra Trail in March, so you actually have to be self-sufficient for the first 60K.
Wow. So what's the weight of that water you're carrying?
I think it's a must. I think it's like, whether it's 5 litres, I'm not too sure what it might be. It might be a bladder, and you'd have a flask, and
so that's what, a kilo a litre type thing?
But a lot of guys aren't going to carry that.
Yeah.
They're going to carry 2 flasks and maybe, a bottle in their side. And last year was a killer because the heat was horrendous.
When are you doing that?
March.
Okay. Yeah, still warm.
It's interesting here. I think you're very relaxed, and just it shows how obviously competent and also confident you are in this, like, because the theory would say, like, from what I've learned, like the science behind it would be that you do a carb load, and to do that you first deplete, so a few days early in the week, drop carbs, then start loading it up with slow digesting carbs so that we can have a good glycogen load to absorb more carb storage than normal once we've depleted. Especially like the night before, do a carb load. Like, there's all the theories that you learn, but then never having put it into practice like you don't know whether that's actually been followed to the T. And then like you said, because you're going at a fairly steady pace, you'd be burning fats mostly. And then when you start to get that more shortness of breath and there's less oxygen availability, then you'll start to kick into the carbs.
That's
because
right.
You've got it all stored in liver and muscle. That's when you can release it for the back half.
That's it.
But you seem pretty much like, maybe it's just you've done it so often now. It's actually you're relying more on your pure mental strength, physical training, and there's still probably some opportunities even to try some things in the nutrition.
100%. Like, as I said, I do not have it down pat whatsoever. And
so interesting.
Like, don't get me wrong, like, I love, like, pasta before the night before, and watermelon. I love watermelon night before and the day of, and hydration. But I mean, I'm obviously not a nutritionist or anything like that, but I've just gone on what I've felt has worked for me in previous races. Not what's worked for me in the past, but more recently in the last, say, year or two. I think, I'm nearly 40, and I feel like I'm learning a lot every race, and I am incorporating different things and willing to try new things in order to step up that level. But I feel like I can only get better from here on out. Some of the best runners in the world are, guys that are in their 60s, and like they're, Harvey Lewis, he's an absolute machine, and he just won, the last man standing race, and he was running for 4 or 5 days straight. So I mean, I'd love for you to
No, it's
I'll be your guinea pig.
No, because also
try
like
new
you say,
things.
But also like you say, you stick with what's been working.
Yeah,
if you were to change something, you'd want to do that early on in a training round. Like we talked about, you wouldn't be doing something new on the day. And Ash and I talk about this also, and make sure that she's training on what she's going to do for the day.
Like I would never say to Ash now, Ash, do this, because that's setting her up for failure.
Yes, totally.
Because that's not what works for Ash. That's what works for me.
What about electrolytes? So if we're talking about water, is it true that we need...
you need electrolyte. 100%. You can't just rely on water. Water's great, but I'll tell you what, you can't go past electrolyte.
And this little formula that we've come up with here at BSc, this will work perfect for your event, right?
I'm excited. I wouldn't mind grabbing a few of those, Mr. Greg.
You're more than welcome to as many as you want.
But
we actually think it's a pretty potent electrolyte. 625 milligrams of electrolytes just in a little bag, in gummies. Surely
easy to digest.
Easy, to work with when you're sipping water and you're chewing this. In theory, again, it's the perfect combination.
Well, I'm just about to start my 7-week block before Noosa, so I'd love to put that to the test. So let's do it.
Fantastic to really see if there's any difference over there. I mean, would you say that you do normally cramp, or are you someone?
No, test on animals after that.
I don't cramp.
You don't cramp?
No, I don't cramp. Yeah, I do not cramp.
Let's just touch some wood.
That's incredible.
Touch wood. Jeez, put that out in the universe. But I a lot of guys that I do run with, they have a lot of issues, especially in the calf muscles, and they pull hammies and
go and see Brad Beer if you've got sore calves.
But I've been lucky enough to not have any issues with cramping.
It's incredible.
So
mate, who's looking after you? You've got the big hat on there.
Jumped on board with Hoka. I've always been recommending you to wear shoes.
I've bought several pairs because you've told me. You've told me which ones to get.
I remember you sent me a message like, what shoes should I get? And I was like, wow. But I jumped on board with them last year, which is really cool.
Good company?
Yeah, really good. Real family orientated, like yourself.
Didn't they change running?
Yes. Yeah.
Every brand has a version of their shoe now.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, they've been going for a long time, and probably more so in the last couple of years because, ultra running or trail running just in general has become so big. And Hoka were, they're always ahead of the game on their trail shoes and performance shoes, particularly in long distance. So yeah, you see everyone wearing them now, which is great. But yeah, I jumped on board with them last year, and they're a company that I've been wanting to jump on board with for a long time since I started running, pretty much.
What model are you wearing there?
Cliftons.
Still wearing the Cliftons, eh?
Yeah, I love the Cliftons. So
do you
if
wear
I
those
run
on
road,
trail?
no,
I
won't. I have worn Cliftons on trail before, but these are a road shoe.
Yeah.
But I'll wear the Speed Goats or the Mafades. They're probably my favourite. Yeah, great company. And
they're based in WA, aren't they? Are they based in WA?
Nah, New South Wales.
New South Wales, okay.
Yeah, but originally, they're big in America and Switzerland. And, but yeah, they're a great team to be part of, and the team's lovely. Decided to do the Gold Coast Marathon last year backwards, and I finished that race, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. That was horrible. It was tough, but it was for a good cause, which was my main goal. And and I was like, I'm never doing it again. I was saying to Mark earlier, my calf muscles were a mess, and they felt like jelly. And
it's interesting to think which muscles are being used mostly going backwards. Like you try, and it made sense when Kieron was saying it's calves because you're landing more like toe, going backwards.
Every step with your toe.
Yeah. But I had tried my hardest in the little training I did to land flat
warm up
footed
before you started.
Yeah.
and that would look funny, right?
Oh
no.
It's bizarre, but you eventually don't care what you look like when you start running. But
what happened to your shins?
Shins were all right. Yeah, look, they were tight. They were sore, but I thought I'd have more soreness in my upper legs. I don't know why I thought that. But my calves were a mess. But yeah, I took off way too quick. I actually saw Whippet. Whippet ran past me. Mate, great podcast, by the way, Whippet.
Yeah, good man. I saw him last night. He's a good man, actually.
Yeah, he's good. We're going to catch up for a run soon. But
saw Matt Poole last night too. He's running heaps if you're looking for someone to run with.
Yeah?
Big you know Pooley, don't you?
I've met him once.
Oh,
yeah. Whippet ran past me and filmed. But I lined up in the 3-hour marathon because I wanted to get ahead of some of the stragglers, and just I didn't want to be bumping into people. I knew that if I'd sat in the 3-hour, they would all be ahead of me and I'd have no one behind me that I could bump into. So, and that plan worked. That was really good, except I got caught up in a fast pace. I was running 5 15-minute kilometers at the start. Yeah, it was stupid. And that wasn't my plan. That was not my plan because I had trained in the late 6s to the 7s to go backwards, but I was hauling, and people people were making comments going, "Hey, are you going to sustain that pace?" And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then I'd hear people going, "Oh, if this guy beats me in a marathon going backwards, Jesus Christ." So I knew I was running a bit too fast, and come 20 Ks in, near where the turnaround is coming back. Yeah, I was like, "You're an idiot. Please slow it down." I was hurting hard, but and it was hot. It was a hot day, and anyway, got about 3K before the finish, and a mate of mine brought over a burger, and I just demolished it. But I felt like I used more energy running backwards. I felt I was so hungry and
less efficient, of course.
Yeah.
Just burning more calorie. And
I don't know.
Yeah.
How many Ks in? We're 3 Ks in. So
3 kilometers to go.
So you're in the late 30s. And you're thinking about food.
Oh, mate, I was starving.
Seriously, I'd have other thoughts like finish.
I felt hungry. I had no energy.
So energy's different. Yeah, I get that.
So I smashed the burger and finished. And anyway, I was like, I'm never running.
How did you go
again?
Was that the first time you stopped on that marathon?
Yeah.
So how'd you go stopping, and then?
Oh, it actually wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't too bad. I can't remember when it was. I attempted to run backwards a long time ago, and my legs felt really strange when I stopped. It felt like I was like on a wobble board or something. Yep. But it was fine, and finished the run and vowed to never do it again. And then that night, my teammate Shane, he's like, no one's ever run a trail backwards. They've never done 100K backwards on a trail before. And I was like, interesting. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then
why are we mucking around? Why don't you run across Australia backwards and do that?
That's a good idea, Greg.
Yeah, seriously, stop mucking around. Let's do real
real stuff. I reckon. Jesus Christ, this is why I need you in my life to tell me how it is. And I sent him a message back. I was like, "Dare me," and he's like, "All right, do it." So I was like, you know what, this would be. I love not knowing what the human body is able to do.
Okay, yeah,
that excites me. That really excites me.
Yeah.
I love not knowing what I'm in for.
Yeah.
I think that's ultimately why I run ultras.
Yes,
Every run's different.
Yeah.
Like when you run UTA, that race is going to be completely different from your next race. And that really excites me. And this, running 100K backwards is way out of my comfort zone. And that's why I want to do it.
On trail.
The ground's a little bit softer. There's not a heap of elevation on the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail, but
then more support run around you to make sure.
Yeah, so the rules state Guinness are yet to get back to me with 100% clarification, but what they've sent me is I'm allowed a cyclist. I have to record what I'm doing every 5 minutes, I believe, for the duration of the run. Okay. And obviously times are paramount to make sure I'm doing it in the time that I've allowed for. So, so it's going to be an interesting one.
This is an individual attempt. It's not a race.
Yeah, no.
You just set off
400K. So AAA Racing, they hold the Brisbane Valley Rail Trail 100 every year. Oh. Contacted Alan and I was like, hey, mate, going to do the 100K. He's like, great. I was like, backwards. And he's like, oh, what are you thinking?
Let me pull my insurance policy out.
Yeah. So I'm doing it during an event.
Oh, wow.
So, it's a good way to do it. Always trying to run for a cause or, and definitely, personally, you got to have a personal.
You are one purpose-driven human. Mate, you're an inspiration, mate. You really are. You're mad, but you're an inspiration. You're doing all these things that I have no desire to even consider doing. Like, Mark, would you ever wake up and go, I'm going to do 100Ks and then think backwards?
No, not at all. It's like trying to understand what you just said, like you enjoy the challenge of the unknown, of the potential that the body could, what potentially could the body achieve. I mean, you can kind of put that into understanding
I would love to
terms,
get what devices can we get that we can put on?
But the way that we would interpret that is different. You're interpreting that as like in this sense that still seems unrecognizable to us. Whereas for me, maybe it was, what's the best physique I could ever get into, step on stage and compete. That's what I thought,
Mark's the world champion.
To me, it was exciting to go, well, if I ticked every box, what's the best physique I could show up in? So for you, and that's that excitement of the unknown.
Yeah.
If you followed a meal plan to the T and what could your body, for you, it's like, what's the potential that the human body can achieve through? Everything's different. For you, Greg, it's like you woke up one day and developed this business 25 years ago.
Yeah,
that's right.
And not even put any of that anywhere near what you guys are talking about.
Did you know what you were doing when you first started this business? Of course not.
Yeah.
No
of course
way.
not.
I still don't.
So it's all relevant in some way, despite what you've done, what I've done, what you've done, what Ash has done. They all meet because they all have the same desire to learn and grow and push forward and look where you are, look where, body science is and that's been through stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And, and going through all
I've got to say, if there was 100K backwards run in the beginning of body science, it wouldn't be here. Just so we all know. I want to make that really clear.
It completely stuck on 100K. We're not going past that.
Let me attempt it first and we'll revisit.
After all my injuries I've had, I'm going to myself, I want to start running a couple of days a week.
Yeah.
I just can't put the shoes on yet. Because I've got a hammy tear at the moment, so it's a good thing I can't. But I'm just thinking, fuck, it's just going to hurt. Everything's going to hurt.
That's exciting.
I know it is. And
Ash, I'm going to be real honest with you.
55, it's exciting getting out of bed and not hurting.
You've obviously done a few runs.
Hey, that's a good stand-up this morning. I'm going to have a good day.
you've obviously done a few runs, but you need to go into these races knowing that you're gonna hurt.
Yeah.
You need to accept.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, you need to accept that.
Yeah. I don't get the 100 backwards hurt though.
I remember I think I called you an idiot when you were riding through Nerang trails, and I think you come off your bike. You hit a tree, didn't you?
I did, yes.
And
did a full 360 in the air too.
But you must at some point known that that's a
in the
possibility.
air, I thought idiot. Like I was thinking, and all the other idiots in my life came into visual.
Yeah.
And then I thought about my wife, and I may never walk again. That was the last thought I had. But
It's so dangerous, those trails.
Yeah, they are.
On a bike?
They're brutal on a bike. Oh, I don't ride bikes, but I should.
It's extreme. It's so dangerous that people do that.
just so you know,
But-
I would have been 50 at the stage. It wasn't overly dangerous riding. Let's just get that together.
Just going at
like
anything.
you look at those Red Bull guys are doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Like,
Phenomenal.
like that stuff that Kyle's put together for them. Like, oh my God. Like I watch that and I just go, I still wouldn't run 100 Ks backwards. I'd probably grab the bike and go, hey, I might make that. I don't know. I probably won't land it, but I'll.
Yeah.
100K, I just know that.
There's risk in everything we do.
Yeah.
You know, from the moment we wake up till we go to bed. So
have you hit the crew up to make you a shoe of the sole going backwards?
that's a great idea. I haven't even thought of that.
Innovation.
See? Innovation right here, live.
You might want to go to Brad Beer and get a percentage of angle that you want that hit on. But yeah, oh man.
But yeah, no, it's been good. And I spend a lot of time in the trails anyway with my job, and so yeah.
You live it, you breathe it, you love it.
Yeah, I do.
How many trees you planted?
Oh mate, thousands.
Do you have to get permission to do that, or you just go and do it?
Yeah. So my job allows me for us to go in and plant a lot of trees and regenerate.
Have you got a tree budget, or is it you just rock up somewhere, or how does that work?
We've got a budget, but we try. every financial year we try to plant a certain amount of trees, and we've got a lot of animals on the Redlands coast. We've got bandicoots and koalas and wallabies. And
what's a bandicoot?
Bandicoot. You ever seen Crash Bandicoot?
Yeah, I have. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a bandicoot.
Wow.
But recently, so we had, I don't know if there was a lot of wildfires up north, Sunshine Coast, and at the same time, we had a few wildfires on the Redlands coast there. So part of my job is within fires.
Yep.
So whether it's planned burns or wildfires, and we recently just before Christmas we had 6 arsons. Spread out over a couple of weeks, but there was a main fire that happened in Thornlands and it got decimated. And when I say decimated, so when you do a planned burn, you will you'll flick a match, you'll put it in the ground and you'll let it slowly burn out. You allow insects, animals, all sorts, they get to find new homes. Yep. Whereas a wildfire, especially with a bit of wind behind it, it'll decimate everything. And this decimated everything. We were finding, dead bandicoots. I rescued a juvenile wallaby out of a fire pit that was, burnt out stump. This poor thing tried to say I had bloody, burned hands and all sorts. And I walked it out, called the local wildlife lady to see if she could help it, and died of my arms. And it's a horrible feeling, but it's part of the job, and it's just I don't know, you want to protect your community, and it's horrible what wildfire can do. I mean, it's nothing compared to what down south have ever dealt with, but on a smaller scale, it's horrible. You got 200-year-old trees just getting decimated, scar trees, indigenous scar trees, and it's tough, but it's rewarding because, you feel like you're doing your job as best as you can and you've managed to save something, whether it be a tree or an animal, and more importantly, people's homes. Conservation, it's a beautiful job, and I'm very lucky to do it, and I'm glad I started it when I did, and really good.
What's your Insta account?
Just Kieron Douglass, at Kieron Douglass.
Do you want to spell it?
KIERON
Everyone would have got it wrong.
LASS.
Yes.
But yeah, look, I love connecting with people on Instagram, probably more so. Yeah.
When you're running your events and you're raising money for families, then how are you getting the message out? Through your Insta?
Yeah.
So get on board to Kieron's Insta and keep track, and if you like something he's doing, jump on and help, because he's one crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, it's been great coming back here, and it always feels like home. And yeah, as I said, you've been a big part of my life. So thanks for having me, mate.